That's me, president of the Falmouth Amateur Radio Association for 4 years. I'll be doing 5 and then swapping out with a new person because no one else wanted to volunteer. Next slide.
There's a clicker. You want me to do it?
If you got...
Right button advances, left button goes back, and the top one is the...
When did you get your license, people? How many people are less than 5 years? Yeah.
Which century did you get in?
Yeah. Do you know what it's like to be a new ham today? Just finished that technician course. We gave you free membership into the club and a Baofeng. What do you do from there? What happens when they get your license? We do those things. What if someone shows up at the club by independent study? That was me. If you went through a club, what did they do to help you get on the air? That's where we're at, what we're trying to talk about. The independent study guys, we can tie them in. Do you know how hard it is for a new ham to join a net? I listened to a net, several nets, for weeks before I dared open my mouth. Look at the actual preamble for a net. It's a full-typed page. You're sitting there and you're listening to the rules of the road and you have no idea what they are. Our solution, we have developed a lending library, primarily 2 meter, because 440 is not big on Cape Cod because the Pave Pause radar station uses those frequencies. And if you mess with them, they will hunt you down. They're currently looking for some guy on 457, and when they find him, it's going to be weird because Space Force will take care of you. So what we do is we created a box. If you're familiar with an Aries Go box, you know what I'm talking about. But we deliver that to someone's house with a mentor. Monday night, our net is at 7:30. I'll come over to your house at 6 o'clock. We'll run that. I've got coaxes, a window pass through, and the antenna gets mounted on that speaker stand. I can pretty much hit any one of 3 or 4 repeaters, so we should be able to get on our nets, no matter where you are on Cape Cod. I had one guy deep in a... Are you familiar with a kettle pond? When the glacier formed Cape Cod, it bulldozed up a whole bunch of sand and left some huge ice blocks in it. When those melted, they became kettle ponds or huge depressions. I've got one guy sitting in the bottom of one of those depressions, so he can hit most of the repeaters. So we know we can get it around. But then I sit with you and I work with you how to get on the air. I'll explain what's going to happen on that net. I'll show them how to check in. So what's in the box? We've got, that one's only a VHF radio, but it's good 70 watts. Power supply, everything we need to put you on the air. Other ideas that we do. Presentations to STEM academies. The Massachusetts Maritime Academy runs a 2-week STEM academy. And we're invited to present, usually on the Monday night of the second week, what is ham radio. Combined with the members of the Barnstable Club, we bring in and set up VHF radio, a HF radio, CubeSat demonstrations. We did a CW demonstration this year. I've got one new club member from that. She just loved it. It was her thing. And I brought a whole fistful of handhelds that were on FMRS, so I didn't have to play around with licensing issues, and they're only going to be in and around a room that's 5 times the size of this. And there are roughly 200 kids. To get into that class, you have to be in the top 10% of your class with 3 recommendations. These kids are brilliant. And out of 3 times we've done this, we've gotten 4 young people. I've got 2 from Falmouth who are taking our tech course in September. So that'll be 4 that we've brought online. Radio demonstrations in public spaces and events. Barnstable County Fair. We missed it this year, but we'll be there next year. We'll take the club has a very nice, fancy communications trailer. We'll take it down, put it in, and we'll work it as a go-to station. We'll get you talking on the air. So it will show the public what ham radio is and what it does. It also, this was a new one this year, Tech Academy for First Responders. We notified every police, fire, EMS, because some towns have all 3. We sent out invitations. No charge for the course. We will train your people. Cape Cod Aries lives on ham radio. I'm going into a demonstration on September 30th where we will be dispatching for the fire department. The fun part is the dispatcher doesn't have a ham radio license, so he's going to sit in the chair. But this is one way we picked up 9 new hams, all of which, particularly in Sandwich, we got 3 in Sandwich, because the chief wanted them trained, because he knows that when push comes to shove and we have to open up that EOC, his people will need to be on ham radios. So I'm expecting some more of them. And we had several from down Cape, Spalding Rehab on Cape Cod. Their emergency management team got the head certified this year, and he's sending people to our class in September. And the one in September is a regular class, and we charge $50, but with that you get your books, everything, and mentoring. So that's one other things. And then I just tripped over this one about a month ago. SCOTA, Senior Centers on the Air. Yeah, shake your head. But there is one club that has set up with their senior center to do a once-a-month radio program.
It's in my future.
Hey, I could sign up and run it when I was get 55, but that was 20 years ago. But I have a very good working relationship with the head of our senior citizens people at our Center for Active Living, because it's available to younger people as well. So we will be working on doing some programs that way. And I hope I'm going to catch some of the Friday night student basketball players.
Do you do HF or VHF?
The demonstrations in public spaces, we will run both. We've got a vertical that's been built into basically a spare tire. They welded a tube to one of our members welded a tube to it, so we can just mount. It's already got a post on it, so we just mount the vertical, and that would be my mobile. That would be my VHF and UHF, depending on which box I'm hauling. I can go 4 bands if I use the right radio. But when we do these things at parks, the Barnstable Club is at a craft. There's a craft show. They do it 3 times every summer. They set up and let people talk on the air. And they're running HF on that one. Other events that we've made good contacts with, Marconi Day. If you live on Cape Cod, you know who Marconi was, and you know where his station was now that it's in the ocean. But the National Park Service will allow us a permit to put a station at the Marconi site. We've also usually tried to put one at the Marconi, at the Visitor Center. And if you don't know it, after Marconi made that site, Chatham became the Marconi receiving station. The transmitting station is over in Marion, which is 70 miles away. my club activates that one. The Barnstable Club activates down Cape at Marconi. You've got people coming in all day long to go to the, everybody wants to look out over the cliffs where Marconi was. So we see 200, 300, 400 people who are interested because we are talking on the radio where Marconi talked on the radio. So it's another place you can start to kind of draw people into ham radio. And participation in local events. Falmouth Road Race, we just finished. 33 ham radio operators. The Cape Cod Marathon, that'll be more like 20. I've done the Boston Marathon. But those types of events, and somebody said, what did you do with the Boston Marathon? Well, since I have a ham radio license, I did this. Wow, I'd like to do something like that. So when you get into these events, you'll have spectators visit you. You have some way of making sure they know how to contact you. Most of our club members carry a few of our club business cards. If we're doing a setup at a street fair or something else, we've got even better brochures that we don't have to, it's a little hard to carry them around if you're doing an event. But that's the kind of thing that we're doing to get our faces into the community. And we're a 501c3. We've been and have been for quite a while. The other paperwork's a beast, and you have to file something every year. But our treasurer's pretty good at it, and then there are a couple other people in the club who know how to do it. Because of that, the towers on Cape Cod need work. You got to pay a tower climber for a day. It's $5,000. We got a grant from a local group who does public safety. They do grants to police stations, that kind of thing. He knows those towers, when push comes to shove, those are going to be in use, and they're going to need to make sure that they're working. So it looks like right now we'll be able to pull down a grant that'll cover the entire thing. And it'll repair 4 towers. So by tying into him, he's saying, some of my people might like to be ham radio operators, and he's a former deputy police chief. So he's actually helped us get people into the public safety plans, the public safety courses. So those are the ways we're reaching out. And I just received from one of our operators has informed me he's been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's. He said, Chris, I'm going to give you my radio because I started tuning up the other day and I realized I was so far out of the band I didn't know what I was doing. He said, I'm not capable of operating within the bands. I'll stick with the channels on VHF. Here's a radio. So now I've got a VHF set that we can put into a kit. Or, he said, if you got a young ham who doesn't have enough money to buy an HF radio, I got one for him. So with donated equipment, we put up 3 or 4 donated antennas for people. You say, hams will get on the air. My next door neighbor got her license before me during the pandemic because she wanted to do something. I don't think she's ever spoken on the radio. I've invited her to my house to work nets. She just wants to have her license. Doesn't want to talk. So, as much as you try to encourage them, some of those KC1s, and keep your eyes open because it's going to be KD1 pretty damn soon. I haven't seen the most recent licenses, but I saw some KD1 Yankees. So we're getting near the end of the alphabet. And you were talking about maintaining a log of who is alive and dead, so to speak. One of our VECs has a database of every one of the 180 members in our club. And he knows, he pays attention. When he watches for when new licenses come out, he contacts them. So we're already reaching out to the new KC1s who get their license online or whatever method they're using. And he also knows pretty much who's passed away. One of the other things we play with is the national traffic system. I have run a presentation at the club. I've done a presentation as part of the thing we did at the Mass Maritime, and we teach these folks how to use what the NTS system is and how a radiogram works. And then Cape and Islands Traffic Net is on at 7:30 4 nights a week. On Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, I'll put up a training net, which is also a good way of getting people on a net. You can log into this net and listen. And you can practice sending traffic. Our traffic never leaves the training net. So if you're on the net with me, I can send you a message, Hotel X-Ray Echo, and you're going to have to send me a reply. So, work with people, especially the new hams. That's where I love Lee, because he keeps this great database. And when we get a new ham, we get on the phone with him. Say, come on down to the club. Make sure, you've been invited to the club. And the first speech I gave when I came to my club was, I've been here for 4 months. The first time I came here, you didn't talk to me. The second time I came here, one person talked to me. The third time I came here, you wanted me to run for president.
And you said yes. And you said yes.
I said yes, because the first speech I gave was, you will never, ever treat a visitor in this room the same way you treated me. It was all the good old boys. And when you log in, we do a roll call. You give your call sign. When I hear KC1, nice, and I know it's a new number, hey, welcome aboard. I'll do that right from the podium. And half the time we'll get applause. But, they've changed and they're better. But that's why you change leadership. Any questions? Sir, I'll repeat it so you don't have to chase him.
Yeah, I had to smile when you were talking about Marconi, because I was down there. I've been involved with Marconi for a number of years, and we were part of the 100th anniversary in 2003, and we had the Coast Guard station at our disposal for the whole month, and we had, I was going to say thousands, many hundreds of visitors there. When we finished it all up with Marconi's daughter, Elettra, having a contact with the International Space Station at the visitor center. It was absolutely fantastic. So, but it really generated a lot of press and a lot of interest.
Our most recent activation was National Lighthouse Day. We activated Nobska Lighthouse. Our club owns call sign Whiskey 1 NOB for Nobska. And they were doing a National Lighthouse Day. They had opened the lighthouse for tours. They had events happening on the playground. We talked to several hundred people. Some of them, I actually took 2 guys who were hams, who were visiting Cape Cod. So, any others? Sir?
Just a general question. A few people talk about having a clubhouse. How do you afford a clubhouse?
We do not have a clubhouse.
Okay.
We used to have a clubhouse in what was the Falmouth Senior Center. However, Falmouth built a new senior center, turned the old senior center into an apartment building, and we lost our clubhouse. We meet at the fire station.
Okay.
And the fire station is tied into us in a big way, because if there is an emergency activation, that's the Emergency Operations Center. There will be ham operators there. And if there's a shelter open, the Falmouth High School is a shelter, and there will be ham operators there. So they like to keep in touch.
Okay.
Well, I got one other. This fall, we're going to be running a shelter operating class to teach the latest. It looks like we'll have about 30 students how to work in a shelter. not how to be the person that runs it, but how to work in the shelter as a volunteer. And once we get them in training, we'll probably, I know we'll be introducing ham radio to them. And that's one of the reasons I got my license. Because I sat in the Emergency Operations Center and went, wow. 2 months later, I had a license. Yes.
Chris, we got about 9 minutes left. My question is your class for first responders.
Yes.
How do you sell that to police chiefs and fire chiefs? What are the, the classic sales, feature benefits? What's in it for them kind of thing?
What's in it for them? What we do is most of the heads of departments that are around now have been around for a number of years. They're not brand new on the job. In Sandwich, the police chief has been there for 2 years, but he was a lieutenant before that, so he's been around the town. And what we have found is working with emergency management, the emergency management people, and then part of when we invite people, we explain to them that ham radio will be running communications if things become absolutely off the wall. How bad? Storm in Sandwich, I activated. I took over for the police dispatch, or the dispatch station, for people calling in telephone pole numbers that were down or had hanging wires. Because those poor dispatchers, they were up to here with 911 calls, they didn't want to hear it. So we were allowed to operate on the police network and the fire networks to get those pole numbers. And I had a guy from Eversource sitting right here. I just hand him a tab with a number on it so they could track it. But on that storm, we had a huge east downburst, wiped out trees. If you walk through the woods of Sandwich now, you'll see a whole row of trees all pointing the same way. Explosive downburst, just blew them in. We didn't have cell, we didn't have power, we didn't have anything. They actually brought in a portable cell tower that ran on a generator at the police station to try and get some sort of cell phones up and running. But there was nothing but ham radio. And we operated that way for close to 48 hours.
Your repeater system was still operating on emergency power?
We were at VHF, and we have emergency power at the police station. Our emergency repeater is just outside the ham bands. It's 453 and change. And it's on a generator, and it's in it's on a water tower in the highest part of town. So we went on to UHF to operate for those, and pay pause be damned. Anyone else?
Okay, thank you, Chris.